Welcome to another NUCIDA training session to get more familiar with Xray. The very first thing, which we need to get started with, is understanding that, what are the different issue types, which gets added to a project when Xray is configured. Now, remember team and custom issue type can be always created by your administrator at any point of time if you wish to. But you know when it comes to the installation of Xray you get it by default. That means, the Xray adds it up and you don't really have to create a custom issue type, which are here automatically coming from the Xray interface. That saves a lot of your time because grooming, designing, setting up the screen etc. will consume a lot of time. Having Xray directly installed will save you time in setting up your issue types, but at any point, if you think that you need any other issue types to make your test management more efficient, feel free to reach out to your Jira administrator and ask them to create a custom issue type for you. Now, talking about the various issue types, which we get by default when we install Xray is test, test set, test plan, test execution, and precondition. We do get a sub-issue type like under test execution. You will also get sub-executions, which will be created once a test execution is created. Now, in order to tell you more about what are each of these issue types, let me give you a high-level introduction today, and there are some other tutorials we are working on these to make several deep dives. Of course, test is an issue type, which is basically to create and write your test cases. Now, in the project, when a requirement is being tested, a tester always needs to document the prerequisite, the test data, the steps to be performed, the expected result, and many other related information. So, this test issue type will have a custom interaction from Xray, which will give you all that input, what you really need to be captured as a part of the test management. The second issue type is here called as test set, or let me jump to the precondition in a sequential order. So, precondition is another issue type, which you get in Xray, and this is all about creating the prerequisites of any test cases which you would be writing. Now, most of you must be thinking at this point that the preconditions are rated specific to each test. So, why this is a different issue type? Because the number one thing is here, the preconditions can be separately created and then associated to any test, which you want to associate it to. So, you don't really have to write it again and again, if the precondition remains common. For example, in order to test login, the precondition is the user must have this URL access. The user must have been registered on this particular application, etc. Now that's where the preconditions can be independently created and can be called as a part of the test or test execution at any point of time. Now, this is where the reusability can be very well understood, and at the same time you don't have to write the preconditions every time you write a test, right? You can save a lot of your time. Coming to the next one is the mentioned test set. The test set issue type in Xray is basically to collectively put multiple tests together and call it as a test suite. Thus, if you are coming back from an understanding of ALM, you come from any other test management. There also you find a test set as a folder, where you put multiple instances of the test or multiple test itself to be executed together. The main purpose of having test sets in the test management is to put multiple tests together, which would be executed at once. So, say for an example, if I'm trying to test login with multiple set of data, then I would call the single set of test keys multiple times, which is also known as instantiation, and I would put these instances under a particular test set, so that I know which is the test set, which I need to run in order to complete the login execution. Therefore, I don't have to independently go to each test and run it separately. Rather, I just open the test set and run it directly with all the tests under it. So you can collectively put them together under a test set, and finally the test execution, which is one of the issue types to run the test. Trust me team, right now, you're looking at a Jira instance and you have the same similar fields what you generally get for user stories, tasks, etc. But once you create a test execution or once you create a test, you will have a different interface coming up from the Xray, which will allow you to feel like the test management tool. So, today we're just covering about the theoretical introduction of it we'll be spending. But the other tutorials are giving you the detailed information on each of these items in a cyclic process. Finally, the last one, which we did not talk about, is the test plan. The test plan is more of like an epic in the Xray interface, which could be used to categorize the test executions or club the multiple tests under certain test levels, etc. So, for an example, if I want to put hundreds of my tests under a particular umbrella, called as unit testing, or if I have another 200 test cases for integration test, or if I have another 100 test cases for system testing, then I would use a test plan to put these under one particular umbrella. So, once I create a test plan, it becomes like a pavement in the test management, and every single test can be linked to a particular respective test plan, which offers you a lot of reporting solutions. If you want to populate reports in Xray or in Jira, all you would need is a test plan ID, put it there, and you will have the statistics for that. So, at any point, if you want to group multiple things together to showcase as one item, just use the test plan there. We will show you a particular usage of that in one of our tutorials. So, stay tuned for that. I think we just covered all the issue types here. The test set, the test execution, the precondition, and the test plan. Don't forget, the bug is handy all the time right from the beginning. So when you create a Scrum template project, you get bug with that by default. So you don't really have to worry about creating a new issue type to manage your bug or defects, because Jira will have it already. So, that's why Xray does not provide an additional issue type for managing the defects. Happy testing and see you next time.